Hi, Eric Gibaud, Gibaud.com, and today I'm in Metz in France in Digit Photo, and they presented me to the team of OM System France, Olympus, that are Laurent and Karine, and they kindly lent me this OM System lens, the 150 to 400 millimeter. So I'm going to speak about it, make some tests, and let's see what you can do with that. Let's start. I don't have much time to record a video today, so I will test the lens, and when I'm back in Tenerife, I will record the conclusion. I'm going to test, make some pictures of this, same as I did with the 90mm macro, okay? So let's go for it. So let's have a physical look, okay? Here you have the hood, that's included. You have some kind of, I don't know, call that flocage, something like this in there, anti-reflection, okay? Here, I didn't put it well. Here I've got the focusing ring when you want to manually focus. Here you have the zoom ring. As you can see, it doesn't change the length. Here you have a function button all over the place, depends on what, doesn't matter what position you are, okay? Here you have a switch to decide on the autofocus if you wanted to check from 1.3 to 6 meter, or from 1.3 to infinity, or from 6 meter to infinity. So your autofocus is not hunting in the wrong place, okay? It will try to get your subject in the right place, okay? Then you can go on autofocus or manual focus. Here you have image stabilization on or off. It actually combines with the body stabilization. Here you have the function button preset activate or not, okay? You can configure that in the body, okay? And here you have a switch for sound or not sound, because obviously many people will use it for animal photography, and maybe you don't want to hear the beep beep of the autofocus and all this. Here you have the leg to put on a tripod. And what else? Here's something really important. You have a multiplier 1.25, okay? That is in there, but you can anyway add the 2.0 and the 1.4. If you think this native, equivalent full frame is 800 millimeter. With multiplier all this, it becomes just crazy, okay? I'll let you calculate. So this is the physical appearance. Now I'm going to make some pictures. Oh yeah, by the way, why is it white? Well, that kind of lenses, they're always white because they're normally used outdoor and can get really hot. And if it was black, it would be even hotter. So it would maybe have dilatation, and that would make the metal expand and maybe get some optical problem. This is why that kind of lenses, they're normally white. That's the reason. So if we look at the tripod leg, if it bothers you when you handheld, just put it this way or this way. But really important, if you're going to use a tripod, always place the tripod on the lens, okay? That's really important, not on the body, because that could break the mount, okay? As you can see here, I think this is an Arca Swiss shape, I think so. But anyway, you can place your tripod plate just here and place it on the camera. Okay, so really well built. I really like the way it looks, the way it feels. It looks really massive, really big, but for the size of, well, for 800 millimeters equivalent, I promise this is not a big lens, okay? Well, I'm back in Tenerife. Well, I've been back for a couple of weeks now. I've recorded, finished recording more videos. I've started in Metz, okay? And when I check the picture I made with this lens, only one word come to my mind, or two words. I understand. I understand why OM System is so proud of this lens. I understand why a wildlife photographer want this lens. I understand why sport photographer like football or Formula 1 or whatever kind of sport want this lens, because this is just stunning. The results are impressive. I'll show you some pictures I made there for the few hours I had it, and honestly, it's enough for me to see that, well, this lens is just crazy mad, you know, it's incredible. So I'm going to give you some specs and my impression and some comment about it. Okay, so let's carry on. This is a 150 to 400 millimeter focal length, 4.5 aperture. So the equivalent in full frame would be 300 to 800 millimeter. If you look in degrees, this is 8.2 up to 3.1 or down to 3.1 degrees, okay? And if you activate the included in their multiplier 1.25, then the minimum aperture is 5.6 and the angle you cover is 6.6 to 2.50. The equivalent in full frame would be 375 to 1000 millimeter, which is massive, okay? So the aperture is fully 4.5, and then it's up to f22, and if you activate the multiplier f29, okay? You have a crazy stabilization in there when it's combined with the the Olympus of your my OM1, okay? With other camera or other OM system it works also, but with the OM1 you get 8 stop. This is crazy. I could make some pictures. I would never thought it would be possible with this focal length. 1/3 of a second. It was a sharp, amazing, okay? So it combined both the Olympus and the stabilization on the lens. You have really special treatment, coating, and many things to the glass in there. So you really don't have any problem with strange flare. You have the Z coating that avoids like ghost images. You know, sometimes you have some light bulb and then you see it several times in there. It's all controlled. The optical quality is just stunning. And this is due to several kind of lenses they use in there, like low dispersion, all this. I mean, I won't get into each of them, but that it's incredible, okay? And it's just not thought for the image quality, but also on how where you're going to use it. It's protective for splash, also for dust, and also freeze-proof, -10 degrees. Some people ask if it's -11, what happened? Well, it still works, but it starts to go slower, like any camera, okay? When it gets really cold, everything goes slower, autofocus, everything. But -10 is a standard when you speak about freeze-proof, okay? So really good. I see you. You feel that the 800 millimeter equivalent full frame is a bit short, or the 1000 is a bit short. Easy. You can still use the OM system multiplier, the 1.4, that will give you 1000 for 1400 millimeter equivalent full frame, or the 2.0 will give you 2000 millimeter equivalent full frame. This is crazy mad, okay? But one thing, really important, not just this lens, any lens of this kind, you need to have the air to be really clean and really stable. This is why when you use this kind of lens, normally use it early morning when it's cold, because otherwise the air is moving and you won't have a sharp picture, okay? And also it must be clean. Here in the Canary Islands, a lot of Kalima sand in the air from the Sahara, it flies up to here. Sometimes it flies a lot further than that, obviously, but still, here's very often like this. So obviously, if I'm on 2000 millimeter equivalent and I'm trying to reach something that's really far, I have to go through a massive layer of dust. So obviously, it won't be as good, okay? But still, this is what you get. So this is fantastic for many uses, okay? The autofocus is just stunning. I was amazed. I never thought it would be that good. I mean, there was a male bee, I don't know what you call that, flying. I was able to focus on it while flying. I was amazed. Then it went on a flower. This is a picture I show you. I was amazed I could focus on that. This is just stunning. It says the autofocus is really fast, really good, and along with all the possible detection the OM1 has, this is great, okay? Fantastic. The sun hood is included. It is a massive sun hood, okay? One tip, I saw that from a YouTuber, a French YouTuber, was speaking about the problem with sun hoods. First, you should always use it, but sometime early morning, you leave your house and you go and make pictures and you see they're not that sharp. It's simply because the difference of heat in your house and outdoor is kept within this microclimate created by your sun hood. And there sometimes you get some bow on your lens, okay? So it's important to acclimate, or I know you said that you wait for temperature to be balanced between out of your lens and the outdoor, okay? Otherwise, yes, the lens the hood is included and it is massive. The filter size is massive, 95 millimeter, okay? That's big. In there you have a lot of glass, 28 elements in 18 groups. This is a lot. in there you have all kind of glass in there. You have low dispersion, and treated for flare, for whatever. I don't. You can check the specs on their website, okay? But a lot of treatment, and you see it in the result. The results are stunning, okay? This lens is thought to be usable handheld, and this is true. All the picture I made them without any tripod. Obviously, if you use a tripod, use a small leg, okay, to make sure it's not pulling on the bayonet on the mount of your camera body, okay. But still, all these pictures are made handheld. It's not that big. It's big, but it's not that big compared to other I've used on full frame, okay. So you can really manage it, and the weight is still bearable. So I would not spend the whole day with this in my hand, obviously, but when you have to make a picture, you can handheld, no problem. You can manage. It's really, really good. And with the stabilization, IBIS plus lens stabilization, this is stunning. The minimum focusing distance is 1.3 meter. So this is really short for that kind of lens. It means you can actually do macro with that. Yeah, it sounds strange to use that for macro, but sometimes you just cannot get close to an insect. So this is really good. Really, really good. There are some things that are included that are fantastic. You have an autofocus memory. Let's say you make a lot of picture at 3 meters distance, and you don't want your lens to be hunting, the autofocus to be hunting every time between each picture. You can memorize where it was focused and stay there. So it stay around there. So if it has to search, it does around this. It starts from there. So it's really good. It's really well thought. The size, it is not small. It's 150 millimeter diameter and 31.4 centimeters long without the sun hood. That's not small, but compared to a full frame equivalent, this is really a small lens. So yeah, if we look at this. And the weight is 1.8 kilos, so 1,875 grams. That's not heavy. This is heavy, but it's not heavy for that kind of lens. So really, this is why you can use it handheld with no problem. The aperture has 9 blades, and I think the out of focus, the bokeh, is really creamy, really nice. Okay, really nice. So if we look at the image quality, it's simply stunning. It's really good. I mean, look at this. I'll show you this cat. Normal picture, then 100%, then 300%. You can see every hair. This is incredible. The quality is just incredible, okay? What is that lens for? What is that lens for first? Well, I think for macro, nature photography, sport photography, traveling. Traveling, you can meet any kind of things, okay? Wildlife, low light, because in low light, 4.5, you still gather some light, so that's not bad, okay? And who is that lens for? Well, that lens, many people, when they see the price, it costs 7,500 euros, they say, wow, that's crazy, this is just for professional. That's not true. Normally, that kind of lenses are not used by professional mainly, but by amateur. Why? Because a professional needs to justify the investment. So he needs to see the return on his money. So if he's a sport photographer, yes. If he's a wildlife photographer and makes business out of it, yes, this is the lens for him. But normally, if you don't do that kind of picture, you want to justify your investment. So unless you use your amateur part, because in every professional, you have a professional side and my personal work, where I could do any kind of thing that I don't want to justify with the clients or the investment, okay? But most of the time, these lenses are bought by amateur who can afford it. Not that amateur can always afford it, but the one who can afford it, they buy that kind of lens. Because this lens is just stunning. So if you already have a job, if you already have money, and this is your hobby, you don't have to justify the money you spend to anyone, maybe to your spouse, but otherwise you don't have to justify anything, you know, or your parents or your kids, I don't know, okay? But so is it an expensive lens? No. It's a lot of money. Some people, in some countries, it takes them years to save up that kind of money. But no, it's not expensive, because we need to compare it to the competition. So, first of all, the fact that it's a zoom lens is a big plus. Why is it a big plus? Because if I'm doing wildlife, I cannot move my body. If I move, the animal will go away, okay? So being able to use a zoom lens to frame exactly what I want, that's a big plus. Because normally people do wildlife, they don't have this option on zoom because on full frame it would be really too large or really massive, very heavy lenses to be zoomed, and they wouldn't probably don't have a constant aperture. So they usually go for a 600mm f4, and then they just reframe after. They make sure that you still have some space around the animal, and then they reframe if needed. Okay, so if we look at the competition, a Canon 600mm f4 cost 14,799 euros, twice the price. If you say, okay, I'm going to get a zoom lens by Canon, a 100 to 500mm, 4.5 to 7 is a lot less luminous. It's still 3,299 euros, and it's not as luminous, and you don't get as far. You don't get to the equivalent of 1000mm, but 500. Okay. If you look at Nikon 600mm f4, this is 13,899 euros. If you look at the Sony 600mm f4, 13,999 euros. So we're speaking about a lens that costs half of the competition. Obviously, you could check Sigma and Tamron, but not for Canon or F anyway. But still, we don't compare with this. Then we would compare to the 100 to 400mm by OM system and not compare to this one, okay? So if we compare, for people who want that kind of lenses, for that kind of quality, well, it's half the price. And probably the body too, because probably I would buy a Canon R5 Mark II when it comes out, or R5 or R3, and the OM1 is half the price. If we look at the Nikon Z9, it's more than twice the price of the OM1. Same thing with Sony. So this is where you understand that some people who look for that kind of lenses and this quality, they appreciate that Micro Four Thirds is a lot less expensive in that range, and also a lot lighter, a lot easier to manage. And it's true that some people will say, yeah, but it's just 20 million pixels, but you don't need to reframe then. So that's okay. So honestly, I think this lens is a lot of money, but it is cheap compared to the competition, okay? So this is why when they made it, so many people bought it, because it made so much financial sense. Obviously, if you're going to sell your car to buy this lens, don't buy it. If you're going to stop traveling to buy this lens, well, that's nonsense. If you buy a lens to go on a safari and you cannot go on the safari because you spend the money, well, don't buy it. So for people who understand what is this lens for and they can afford it, I'm sure they will love it. They will love it. And very often people ask, when they see a price like this, they think, is a lens that costs half of it, or less than half of it, like the 100 to 400 OM system has, we don't have the same aperture or this, is this one twice better? And the answer is yes. Very often you don't see so much difference as in the price when you look at the quality. In this case, the difference is so stunning, it's amazing. So this is where I said at the beginning, I understand, because this lens is just crazy. Would I buy it? Probably not, because I don't make that kind of picture. But if I was enjoying making that kind of picture that needs that lens, and I could afford the lens, no doubt I would use it. And as a pro, if I was doing sport photography or wildlife photography and live out of this picture, obviously I would probably buy this lens because it's just stunning. So I've criticized Olympus OM system policy, trying to get only that kind of clients with the this lens and the 90mm macro I will present soon. I still think they're neglecting a bit their original base of people who went to Olympus because they could afford the lens and the bodies, and we're speaking about top of the range. But getting out of this debate, because it's not the topic or the subject of this video, if we look at the client for this kind of lens, this is a client who would buy a 600mm in another brand, and the body would be a lot more expensive. Yes, I think they've responded to the demand, and they're offering something that is stunning and a lot cheaper than other options from the competition. Okay, so for me, yes, this lens is completely recommendable if this is the kind of picture you want to make, and obviously if you can afford it. Okay, So thank you so much Digit Photo for organizing these special days in France, where I could meet Karine and Laurent from OM System France. Thank you to both of them, who were really nice to me, and we could speak a lot about a few points of view about the company and the future and the past, all this. So it's really nice to speak with them. And thank you to both of them for lending me this lens and the 90mm I will present very soon. Okay, if you're interested in this lens, I'll leave you links in the description where you can buy it. So thank you to you for watching the video. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Small button down here is a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, Gibaud.com. If you have any question, you can leave a comment below. Also leave you links of my gear on Amazon, links of everything I reviewed by K&F Concept, Sandmarc and Flashes by Westcott, more affiliated links, and also a link to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye!